Makes sense.
Order. Calling the meeting to order at 6:33. Hey, everybody. I am looking for the agenda page here. Seem to have lost.
Here.
Thank you. All right. Let's do a roll call. Members of the DRB, Patrick Bradley present.
Sue Pittiger. Emily Myers.
Matt Stewart.
John McKay.
Linda Gray.
All right, and moving on to item number 2. Everybody had a chance to look at tonight's agenda. If so, and no changes, if there are not any changes, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
All those in favor of accepting the agenda?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Okay, how about the minutes for last February 20th meeting? Any edits to the minutes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
Sure.
Thanks, Matt. Don, all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay, moving along. Item number 4, public comments. Do we have any members of the public who are not here for a public hearing that would like to provide any comments?
Not related to the agenda.
Not relating to the public hearings? Doesn't seem like it. Okay, good. Moving right along. Announcements and correspondence. Any announcements?
No.
March Madness has begun. All right, let's start with the night's first public hearing. This is application number 09 BADU 25. The conditional use review for a 2-bedroom accessory dwelling unit. The applicants and the landowners, Marcus and Dana, had the trust. 255 River Road.
So the.
Is there a water line?
We started, and so.
Yeah, it's oh, we must have started at 6:30. It is 6:33. Okay, let's should we put some witnesses on the record and put some exhibits into evidence?
Yes.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, sorry.
We'll take that.
Yeah, you want all of this, so I'm not flopping them, this is.
Yeah. Great.
Do you want this the rest of the agenda?
Marcus is-
Put 'em
yeah,
together.
exactly. Up here.
Okay.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
And would you just introduce yourselves?
Marcus Head.
Yeah, Marcus,
My daughter Kelsey.
do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Wonderful. Let's also quickly put the exhibits A1 and A2 along with the zoning administrator exhibits. ZA1 and ZA2. Can we get a motion to put those into evidence?
Patrick, actually want to, is this that evidence that you just?
No.
Is this the
No,
exhibit?
it's,
Okay.
I think that's a bigger version.
This one.
Actually, that is.
That is.
Because it is
That is
slightly
it.
different, that's all I was gonna point out. But we're not at that one yet.
This is the building site plan.
This is the most
That
recent,
A2?
this is more recent than
This-
what the PDF is.
No,
Okay, PDF is more recent.
well, sorry, the PDF was the original submission. This has just been put in tonight.
To like a CAD, so we can
This is a-
add that as applicant A3. Yep,
The trailer.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
So-
there are two ones.
yeah.
Well done.
Here's-
Oh.
So it's clear that the trailer exists and then it's gonna be removed.
Okay,
The applicant has put into the records, a building site plan and the application itself.
So, one of
There are
it's all going.
2 additional pieces of evidence from the applicant. We can call these A3 and A4, an elevation of the proposed ADU, and then a septic evaluation report.
for the existing
for
system
the existing system.
Okay,
of the mobile home.
Yeah.
Okay.
So A3, A4, A5.
Gee, okay.
all right. Okay, can we get a motion to put those in the?
Yeah, so moved.
Everything, and you're saying A1 through 4 and ZA.
A1
1 to 2, everything,
A1 through 5,
oh, 1 through 5, okay.
yep, and ZA 1 to 2.
And so Sue, you're moving?
Yeah, second, can we get a second? Emily,
I'm sorry.
okay,
Yeah.
all those in favor of putting these documents in Evan's, aye, okay, great. Want to give us, start with just a summary of what it is you're asking to do? Yeah, thank you.
My daughter and her husband and son live in a mobile home now. Since it's relatively difficult to buy a home in the area these days, to find one that we can afford, we hoped to build a modular home here, which would be less expensive. For them to stay in. And then the mobile home would be removed, we'd sell it and get rid of it. And they would stay in this house. Our plan then in the future is that when Dana and I get to this no-go stage, I guess you call it, we would move into this house, which is a single floor. And the master bedroom suites, they're meant to be for wheelchairs, that type of thing. And they would move into the main house.
Okay.
That's our hope.
Great.
Um, For in terms of review, we are reviewing this under section 4.14, accessory dwellings and attached apartments.
Okay.
In particular, this is an attached apartment. There's a number of criteria, including a size threshold.
Yep, and I see, we've seen on the exhibit that it's less than half of the primary residence. And you said that the trailer is gonna be removed. So this would be the second, the ADU on the property.
Yep.
Yeah,
And so we just said it was beneath the threshold, so do we consider living area and garage area separate?
I believe what's referenced in the land use regulations is habitable area.
Cool, okay, yeah.
nice,
So it comes
Good.
in under the 16.
indeed.
Yep.
And the septic field that's for the trailer right now, that will become, or it will be enhanced or something for the house?
That's our hope. We would of course have to do some, the tank is, I think 14 inches below grade.
Yeah,
And the distance to the tank is going to be larger than it is now. So we have to get a state design and potentially put a pump chamber
yeah,
in
yeah,
so that the waste can then be pumped up to the septic.
okay.
And the wastewater permit is a state permit.
That's correct.
Yep,
So we have to.
great, Yep.
address that.
Yep.
understood.
And Just a question, and we don't need to see that before making our decision.
It'll be conditional.
That is at your discretion. The law essentially says that if there is a state permit that's required, the applicant must obtain that.
Right, oh, okay.
But it's currently, you said this current report it's still in active use.
Yeah.
The couple of things about that report is,
Yes.
it says it was put in 1960. Basically, the estimate is that it was put in the 60s. There used to be a different mobile home on the property here that belonged to Murdy Cook. Leonard Cook's mother. Back in the 60s. It was a smaller trailer at the time. Then when she died, Mrs. French purchased a trailer and put the trailer here and rented it out, that space out. In the Lindy, so I'm with Gary Thompson. And I don't have any records or anything as to whether the system was changed at that time when the new trailer came in.
Yeah.
And there was Leonard Cook put the system in, and back in the 60s, I don't think it was ever registered. There's no record of it. So it's sort of a gray area.
I assume this is pretty flat.
Yes. I mean, there's a hill behind our house, and up the trailer sits sort of at the foot of a hill. Coming down this way towards the road, but from the road all the way back.
Did the trailer in the proposed development relatively? The proposed development is not in the, I can't remember the term, but like the affected area of the septic of the leaching field.
Correct.
And this septic system will be servicing, it's currently servicing a 1,000 square foot,
2 bedrooms.
2-bedroom, and it will go to a 1,580 square foot, 3-bedroom house.
No, 2 bedrooms.
Two. Oh. Okay, I'm looking at the picture, I forgot.
My understanding, 1,000-gallon tank for this amount of bedrooms.
Yeah,
That's not the problem. That wouldn't be a problem. It would be if there was any problem, it would be the condition of the leaching field and identification for, or where the replacement
Yes,
system
Yeah.
would be.
and that's why we need to stay.
Yeah, and
that's
I
what
just,
think.
I would just say there's not any. It's not before us. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not now.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But that would be part of the.
Cool. Any questions? Any other questions, Linda?
And I'm just looking at the zoning administrator document, so it says relevant and applicable regulations, and in that, it says additional section 4.14 that you mentioned, then 5.07 and 5.04, are they like not applicable for us, or?
This is a conditional use in this district, so,
But then most of the substance is with the section.
yeah,
4.1.
Yeah, exactly. Because the conditional use, this is kind of a no-brainer conditional use, like 5.04 is included here, and I think the zoning administrator can determine that it's effectively, it's not changing any,
Right.
the nature of the property is not changing, there's not any
Yeah.
like extra parking required or anything.
correct.
Yeah.
A very broad question, and it's just to educate myself, which is one of the things that you've identified, and we've mentioned that the accessory dwelling unit it's got to be less than half of the primary residence. And I'm just wondering what the logic, why is that the case? This is not. And if I'm taking us off into a digression, that's gonna suck up too much time. We can save it. for
In
later.
2009, when the bylaws were written, I don't know what the motivation was to, create that size threshold.
For other discussion. All right, thank you.
Okay, I don't think there are any other questions. I'd propose that we. Steve, unless you think there's anything that else needs to be done while we're in
I don't think so.
public hearing. I
Yeah.
think we could close the public hearing and get back to you as soon as possible.
Because I'm taking minutes, but I wait for these questions. Anybody here an interested person for this hearing, or is no, it's the application, you guys are the applicants,
Yes.
Right,
and there aren't any other interested persons, right?
like a butters.
That's correct.
Are you an interested person?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But know my place.
Oh, the husband.
Okay.
You're an applicant.
I guess just one clarification, because I don't know the property, there's not, the river is on the other side of there?
Correct.
Okay.
River Road.
and then.
And then-
Okay, cool,
Then there's a inlet, the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
And then,
okay. Okay,
and there's a house next door here that, property, then there's a driveway for,
Accessing.
Fred's house next door.
Must have some beautiful views.
It is, yeah, that's why the house.
Can't complain about that.
That's awesome.
And the railroad keeps all, brushed in, so you can see the river. Or-
It's helpful.
which-
And see the train.
Which my grandson really.
Bet. Okay. All right, well, let's close. Do we need a motion to close? the meeting?
Yeah, I should take a
We'll
motion.
Take a motion to close the meeting.
Sure.
Thank you, Matt. And
Second.
second, thank you, Don. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to keep that stuff?
Yeah.
Yes,
but
please.
Unless you.
No, that's fine.
I'll just walk out with you guys.
Okay.
Just so you know, so,
I'm sorry, but I know my.
Chairman Bradley, can we put another chair here?
Absolutely.
Also you need to.
Much easier to read a big.
Oh, boy, isn't it great? Well.
I'm a little straight.
No, I think. Wanted.
Nice to meet you. Is there anything I can take off the table for you guys? All this stuff?
About the occupied of the unit issue. That is just lots of people that doesn't work outside.
And I think that needs a topic under discussion.
Did you see that,
I.
your neighbor? House went on, sorry, neighbor's house went on. Little cute little white box, literally next to you. Right in the library,
I think I like it.
4 hours ago.
Yeah.
I don't stock Zillow. I just had it.
She has
Oh,
that
yeah.
great- and, you know, it's fine. I'm not surprised.
Sure. What
It's a
cute-
great
cute
little
little- What a
spot.
location, yeah.
It's a great location.
Okay, let's see, here we are, let's go. Okay, so
Thank you.
we'll wait for the maestro. Are you ready? Should we start this or?
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, I've messed up the order of things here. So let's call the next matter is public hearing 08 BSU B25. It's a request for a 2-lot subdivision. Applicants Thomas and Marie Colaccio, 44 Four-Wheel Drive Road. Parcel ID 16-019. And we have some folks with us. Can we again ask you to identify yourselves and then we'll ask you to just kind
Hi.
of say.
I'm Tom Colaccio. This is my daughter Bridget. Most of you know my wife Marie.
Okay, great.
And, we want to thank you very much for allowing us to come and present this. We think it's a wonderful idea since our daughter moved back from Chicago. With her 2 children. And Andrew's here because this is way above my pay grade to understand. So I asked Andrew to participate with us and he's here to answer any sort of specific questions you have. We'd be happy to also address any questions you have that would make sense that we answer. So thank you.
Great. Well, then I guess we'll ask all of you, we swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Great. And let's see, we have some documents just to take care of the business end of things here.
Yeah.
Stephen, I believe there's 5
Yeah,
exhibits
that's correct.
submitted by the applicant.
Yes, and they are as listed. Just for the board's understanding. There has been some discussion about a development envelope review,
Yeah,
which we could probably consider at the final plat stage. This is the preliminary plat. It is not shown on, sorry about that.
That's okay.
On the boundary survey, though it is sort of situated off of 44 Four-Wheel Drive Road. And is referenced,
I feel like I saw it on one of these.
Yeah.
Design feats.
it's referenced on the A4
oh,
in your packet.
okay, wait a minute.
That is the density calculation.
Yep. Great.
I remember seeing it.
There you go. You passed it, I think. Or it's the backside of this.
What?
Saving paper. There we go.
Saving paper.
When it's 84, it just looks like it's drawn in.
It is just drawn.
Yes, okay.
I believe the applicant understands that it needs to be a part of the boundary survey and it gets recorded. But at the preliminary stage, I think what the applicant is providing are sufficient.
Okay, so before we have too much discussion, we have these five exhibits submitted by the applicant. And we also have 3 zoning administrator exhibits. ZA1 through ZA3, Linda. Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept all of these documents into evidence?
So moved.
Thank you, Sue. Seconded by Linda. Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Great. Why don't we turn, like we always do, turn it over to the Colaccios or their representative to kind of give us a lay of the land, so to speak.
Absolutely. Well, we presented you with a lot of material. This is a really long, but hopefully not too long, and somewhat entertaining narrative describing our request of board, which is to create a 2-lot subdivision up on Four-Wheel Drive, 44 Four-Wheel Road, excuse me. And I could go into detail on any particular matter the board wants to, but I really wanted to give you as much time to ask as many questions of me and of Bridget and Tom as possible. I feel like that's probably the most constructive use of our time.
Maybe for additional context, I just wanted to say hi. It's nice to see you all. Thanks for having us. So I grew up on Four-Wheel Drive in the house at 44 and but haven't lived here since I was 18 and I graduated and moved off and went to school in Boston and then lived in Chicago for the last almost 25 years. So just have returned myself and excited to sort of return here. We're living in Hanover right now and I'm like desperate to go back to Norwich. But it's hard. I'm a single parent and so finding something that would work well was challenging as I first started to look, and so then this idea came up. So excited to talk to you about it and answer any questions you have.
And I do want to make it clear that this application will require a waiver of our density calculation, which is part of the subdivision review. Just to make that clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is that the only, it seemed like there are multiple waivers they're looking for, is that correct?
That's correct. There are 2, we're looking for a waiver of 2 provisions in Article 3. One is called the maximum density provision, right, which is the provision that really relates to the access road to the parcel here, Four-Wheel Drive. It comes into play, but we're also looking for a waiver of the developable area, which is 3.13, I believe, and maximum density is 3.312. And the developable area really goes to, what does this land look like? It's sloping. You can see that. You can see what Stephen has prepared. And so both of those provisions we're seeking towards grant of our waiver request.
I have a question. If, let's say, my understanding is that the area that you're proposing to build this new house on is in a flat area on the property. Let's just assume, let's assume whatever, whether the existing property or a subdivided property. So, and then that there are some sloped areas elsewhere. What would be the reason? I could understand not wanting to put a house on a slopey area, but if it's the good part of the property, what would be a reason that it would not be in a developable, run afoul of the developable area? Yeah. Do you have any, as someone who's sort of familiar with these regulations, what's the idea behind the rule I guess in the abstract, like without.
Sure. Is the question
why not focus on the area around which the house is being built instead of the fact that there's a slope 3 acres?
May I, a version of that question, which is, how is the developable area defined? And is it defined parcel by parcel? And so this parcel comes with a definition that we're going to have to alter?
So the developable area, and Stephen, I invite obviously Stephen to weigh in, Chairman as well. Developable area according to the Norwich subdivision regulations, if you look at table 3.2, gives you a nice long list of calculations and multipliers by slope angle. So the steeper the slope, the more of a multiplier you get, which reduces the developable area. Norwich made a decision that slope was kind of the big factor. So to go back to your question,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more that if you focus on a flat area and the steep slopes are contiguous, which they are here, over on somewhere else on the property, there's no surface water movement here. There's no significant surface water at all, frankly. We have the groundwater and wastewater permit in place. I would answer, it's the only place to put the house that makes sense, and that's where we have it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I have a question. Have you calculated the slope of the proposed drive?
The slope of the proposed drive, it surely is calculated, but I think it's in the single digits. I don't have those numbers with me, maybe.
Driveway,
Yeah,
Very,
the driveway slope be similar to the current driveway.
And
It's
would you,
like
is
2 or
it
3.
50% or less?
oh much.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about 3 to 4%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
Good question.
Yes, and
And with respect to, you said, the other criteria goes to the access road. Or it's largely driven by that.
Yeah, so maximum density in Norwich, according to Norwich subdivision regulations, maximum density is calculated by how good the road is. And so the purpose there is the worse the road, quote unquote, the worse the road, the harder it is to get emergency services there, et cetera. And you wanna spread development out a little bit more. You wanna tap the brakes there. So 4-wheel drive is, according to the regulations, a substandard. It sounds so negative.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. It's a substandard class 3 road, which really counts. It counts against us, and we can see that.
Mhm.
But I tried to highlight, like, look, there's Tucker Hill. I live off Mitchell Brook, which is not in good shape right now. I mean, it is what it is, and we all live with it.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the maximum density argument is.
Okay. Thank you. And I would say, and this also only applies. Granted, I should know this, it happens to be the case that this road, I happen to be familiar with it, but for those that aren't, it's really close to town here.
Okay,
In fact, I think it's basically it just happens to be the first road that is rural residential, I would venture say, and that's the only district, is it not, where
that's correct.
the density calculation applies?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's, I mean, again, I think that this is truly a reasonable place to make an exception, in my opinion, based on that.
the other question I'd like to ask, and I apologize if it's in here and I just missed it, is how far up 4-wheel drive is your current driveway, for example? How,
About 800 feet.
okay, I thought it was a very short distance, okay. 800.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, or
Yeah.
even less than that. I'm not
Okay.
sure too.
Has the town highway, I can't remember the guy who runs that, has the town highway guy come out to do to give you permission to cut the curb?
There has been no application for an access permit yet.
Okay.
You're sort of wanting to get to the next stage before we would require that.
Could you describe then, so we have certain decisions that we're making at this point. And then could you describe then what other decisions would be down the road that maybe are just you, or do some of them come back to the DRB?
Like a development envelope, for example.
Yeah, we'll need a development envelope on the boundary survey. Essentially, at the conclusion of this hearing, the preliminary plat hearing, where we'll consider the waiver. We'll just sort of move into a normal subdivision review at that point. So we'll be checking the boundary survey for completeness, holding another public hearing to ensure that there's proper due process for the public. At that point, we'll also be looking at an access permit and the development envelope on the property.
Okay. I wanted to, I'm sure the board might have another question or two as well, but any folks that are joining us remotely, I know it's hard to you just come off mute and feel free to ask any questions if you have any questions. Okay, any questions from the board about the proposal or the process?
I have a quick process problem. So it's hard for me to wrap my mind around sometimes the difference between the subdivision and the development envelope. And if a subdivision, is it possible to have a subdivision granted? And then, oh, I'm sorry, like, we cannot grant a development envelope, so we just made this parcel that's maybe good for logging, and that's it.
Is it possible?
I guess, because I have trouble understanding the difference, and I know that right now, we're not saying like, yes, you're allowed to build a house right here, but I feel like we are kind of saying, yes, we are open to the possibility of a house being built here. But are we committing to saying like, yeah, some development envelope will work, but we just don't know what it is yet? Or we could grant this and some next board down the line is like, no, there's no developable house.
No, I mean, once a subdivision has been granted and recorded in the land record, it exists in the land record and it can't be undone. A development review envelope can be subsequently re-reviewed. But really, I think, you know, the reason you have so many steps in the subdivision process is to avoid outcomes where no one's happy with the development envelope. So does that answer your question?
No, actually.
Understanding is that
Sorry.
right now, we're taking like one particular step. But you guys, the applicants, are trying to give us as much information as you have about what you ultimately want to do, so that we're not surprised later. So that we have,
Right.
we understand what they ultimately want to do, but we're not approving it yet. But we're potentially approving.
It's kind of like a soft
that
go
first-
ahead, but just, it is possible, just for me to understand the situation, it is possible that the whole board changes, this get held up, and then in a few years, a development envelope does not get approved.
Can I add something really quick?
Sure, go ahead.
That's
Yeah.
So, one of our exhibits is a granted wastewater permit from the state of Vermont. And the state, that permit locks us in to a specific situs on the land.
Okay.
So that could change, to your point, that could change, it's slightly different to your point, but I just want to add this. But it would require us, it would be a pretty big lift to go back to the state and say, hey, we're actually gonna put this somewhere else, and it may not even work, right?
That's not a necessary part of this.
That's not part of this,
No.
but I just wanted, we wanted to present that material to you for,
Appreciate it.
because we're pretty locked into where this is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Sure, yeah,
This proposed septic,
yes,
okay. Isn't it on the Colacio's property? And
So, do you mind if I?
wait, no, please, I was hoping.
We had the septic design folks come out and learned that, not only did they need to have the design for the new house that we were considering building, but they had to also create another design for our house, because we did not have the supplemental or the secondary design. So they actually created three.
Plus the one we have.
And,
well, you can do a lot.
my current septic system, maybe rest in peace, Leonard put in, because this was his house, is working just fine. So the way we then determine where to have the line for the subdivision addressed two factors. One was we needed at least 2 acres.
Mhm.
And then the second was, we wanted to make sure that our supplemental septic design for our home was on our property, so there did not need to be an easement or anything. So you see
Okay.
3 designs on that. One of them is on our property, but that's the supplemental for our house.
Yeah,
Got it.
you can actually see the. If you go to 5B, I believe you see the proposed, it's hard. And I was having a hard time falling asleep the other night,
Me
but
too.
I think it's on 5B.
It's
In
all
that,
right.
that
You've
little,
answered
that
my
little
question.
dark gray box.
You've answered my question, that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's gonna
I was
be,
just curious.
gonna be even further uphill, if you will, of the proposed new house. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And it accounts for them for my proposed
Right.
site, the septic system that will be built
Mhm.
and then a backup. Sort of in,
Aren't
The
you
future.
lucky, really?
I guess, I guess.
It's a good deal.
The backup being on the other lot.
No, no,
No.
no.
Oh, okay, good. I don't want, okay.
Yeah.
You got
Cause
there.
I didn't wanna hear that. I was like,
And they won't both be built.
Yeah,
It's sort
yeah.
of
Got it,
there for
got it.
In
Okay.
case it's
Yeah.
needed down the line.
Got it.
It's cited where that would
Got
be located.
cool. Well, I.
Matt, is your question answered?
Matt's trying to ask, are we approving a development envelope?
Yeah, basically. I understand we're not, like, I very much understand we're not approving the development envelope right now.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Good question. Definition of the development envelope. It's like a sealed envelope and it's buried.
No, it's a development envelope is and it's somewhat, and I apologize, it's a somewhat technical answer. At a minimum, it is the area remaining after you account for the district's setbacks. It also includes sort of areas that are governed by what's the term?
Overlays.
No, not overlays. But yeah, I mean, if there are overlay districts as well, thank you for that. That's a good point. So it's essentially the land you have remaining after you account for, the physical constraints like slope, wetlands, forest blocks, etc., ridge lines, shoreline protection, or zoning setbacks.
In layman's terms, it's where your yard and house is.
Where your house is.
And where your house is going to be. And and the envelope sort of limits development improvements to within that envelope.
Can I make one other point? You see that Thomas, you see some materials that say Thomas J, and you see some that say Thomas A. We just want to make sure it's A. I guess it was reported 40 years ago.
So when we bought our house, somebody who made the plat to describe the property misunderstood my middle initial, which is A for Anthony, not J for Joseph. And I didn't even notice that until we started this process. And I got a copy of it and I looked and I said, well, who the hell is that?
Who is that? I'm living in the.
Wait a minute.
Those good biblical names.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
Well, I got my wife's name right.
Yesterday I was St. Joseph. My grandmother will have you know.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Not the
And is
Yeah.
that something that's a simple thing within Norwich records to make that correction? Or does it take a whole?
Well,
day?
we're going to be recording a new boundary survey with the correct,
Yeah, yeah.
correct.
Do all
assignment.
everything. If that comes up new, it's gonna be correct. Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes.
As long as Thomas J never shows up.
Yeah.
I just wanna add one more thing that, oh, is someone coming off mute?
That was somebody, Marcus had left.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think this, one thing that I think might be worth noting is that in section 3.1.
They want it to be let in, so. I'm
Yeah.
not
In
gonna say
section
no.
3.1B, there's a waiver section that says the DRB may waive or modify one or more of the standards in Article 3. if the subdivision does not result in the creation of more than 2 lots. And the board determines based on its review. That the subdivision clearly meets the intent of these regulations, so. I think that might be. If we are to decide to waive the maximum density. And apologies, the other one. is
Developable area.
Area. I think 3.1B might be one avenue.
Yeah. Okay.
And I discussed that at length in the waiver request that we submitted as well, yeah. I go through, hopefully, try to provide good arguments for each one of the Norwich subdivision purposes that I thought were applicable and why this is in line with each of them. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Great.
Are there any more questions in Zoom land? Cheryl, Terry?
All right, well then, I think we can, close this public hearing at 7:12. And thank you, it's very nice to meet you. Oh, yeah, how about I need a motion?
Oh, yeah.
Linda, how about a second?
I will.
Thank you, Sue. All those in favor? Aye. Where in Chicago did you live?
In a neighborhood called Edgewater.
Edgewater, oh, in the city.
Right, oh, yeah.
Oh,
Right on
end
the
of
lake?
the end of Lake Shore
Yeah,
Drive.
yeah.
Near Rogers Park. I grew up, I'm from Chicago. Yeah. Yeah, I lived in Andersonville for a good while. Yeah.
I worked at Loyola for 17 years.
I was rooting for their basketball team.
Well,
Did they?
Do you know?
Yeah, I went to Loyola Academy back in the day in Wilmette, but it wasn't on that campus for 100 years.
And so we're still.
Hey.
How old are your girls? Where are they?
They're at the middle school, so they're in 6th and
Oh.
8th grade. Which is nice. That's been nice about being head over this year.
The
they're
other
at the same
side, yeah.
school.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is good.
great.
So
That's
I
great.
think that was good for this year, but I really want to get there. It's, as you know, just a mile and a half away, but. you'll
All the
like
cool
a
kids
very
are back.
nice.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, Emily.
Yeah, they leave in a hurry, but they always come back. Great, thank you very much.
Yeah. They have to get it done.
And what are, just so I'm aware,
Yes,
what are we waiting for?
so
as
we've
far as-
closed the public hearing, and we're going to deliberate,
Yeah.
deliberate session.
We'll
And
talk.
having closed the public hearing. there's a safety issue with the city.
I just.
And that's in writing.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm
And
not.
plus on that starts. Yeah, but thank you very much, yeah.
It really seems like we're.
Great.
We're going to say that, we're going to say the road's coming in the track.
Marcus and Cheryl, I think in short order, we're gonna bounce you.
Yeah.
Was that Peter? I think it might have been Peter. Are you Peter, right? Andrew, nice job.
Clyburn.
Okay.
Andrew, where do you live off Mitchell Road?
You go on the visual, if you see one straight. And then.
Yeah,
you make
no, it's all good.
a Turn on your metal. Like, Sure, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I, how do I pick somebody
So
up?
you can. Yeah,
What was the second one?
Remove.
Developable area.
Like 3.12 acres there.
Or to Zoom? No, okay.
and then do we stop the recording?
Once we've taken the motion to go into
Deliberative
deliberative session, we will stop the recording and then when we come out, we'll start the recording
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, excellent. All right, team. In the spirit of keeping things moving here, can we get a motion to take this into deliberative session and we'll go offline.
So moved.
Thank you. Don, all those in favor?
Paid motion.
Emily?
Emily and Matt. And is it, like, do we have to do one to go into deliberative session, hearing by hearing?
No,
No,
No, okay.
No.
Okay.
So thorough, so good.
great.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was, so 7:16, we are going into deliberate. Other business?
yeah, we're good. We'll just make it up. It's
No
fine.
other, okay, no other
It'll be in the
business.
minutes.
And so then we're on to item 9, adjournment.
Yes.
I second.
All those in favor? All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job,
Thank you.
Here, here.